Hello, everybody, and welcome to season 3, episode 2 of Email Never Sleeps. I woke up this morning and I started looking at my schedule, and I'm really excited for the topic that we have today. And the topic or the title of this session is called Maximizing Engagement. And we're going to talk about the pro tips for successful email list cleanup. And I'm really honored to have Monica Baidu all the way from Bucharest. And she's taken time out of her day and out of her busy schedule to visit with us. Monica, why don't you give us a quick background about yourself and why you chose this topic?
Well, first, it's true that email never sleeps. It's like 10 p.m. over here.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm an email marketing copywriter and copy coach. I've been specializing in marketing emails for the last 3 years. I work with some very awesome course creators. I'm an in-house copywriter, data-driven marketing. They're a funnel building agency that specializes in optimizing very specific elements of, an automated funnel or a two-part funnel.
Right.
And a lot of what we do is focused on email marketing. And I'm
Mhm.
the one who has to come up with very interesting ways to write monthly promotions for these clients.
Right.
So I've fallen in love with email marketing as a channel after sort of like a dozen years
Yeah. Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
in doing everything you can imagine in the realm of marketing. So from running AdWords to running social media to doing content strategy to
Wow.
doing even sales and like everything you can imagine, I did.
Wow.
And there was a big frustration for me because it felt like, regardless of the channel you choose, there's
Hmm.
just so much content coming at you every single day. There's no way you can stay connected to your audience,
Right.
stay true to your values as a marketer, and then
Mhm.
not lose your mind over everything changing all the time.
Right.
So, email marketing kind of combines these needs to specialize on something
Sure.
and this passion for human behavior, psychology, and trying to
Good.
have a natural conversation with the consumer.
Boy, I don't have a lot of copywriters on here, so I'm really looking forward to this. And I want to read something to you because this is what you wrote me, right? When you wanted to become a guest on this. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And you said an email purge party, when to ruthlessly clean your email list. And I was like, whoa, she has to be on this. So, first of all, I like purge parties, number one, but the word ruthlessly sort of jumped out at me. So, why do you want to talk about email purging as a copywriter? What have you seen or experienced in the past, right? What gets you to want to talk about this?
So I think the most frustrating thing an email marketing copywriter can experience is like spending time researching their offer,
Yeah.
researching the customer, crafting this amazing sequence,
Yeah.
and then trusting the client when they say, "Oh no, my email list is engaged. They love me." And
Yeah.
then you start sending the emails and you start seeing the KPIs, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
you
yeah.
feel you're dying a little bit inside. It's like,
Yeah.
why have I wasted so much time? This was not supposed to happen. We were supposed to do something else first, like re-engagement, cleaning,
Yeah.
rebuilding the trust.
Yeah.
So I've had plenty of dreadful experiences in that area, and
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like it breaks my copywriting heart
Well,
when
and,
that
and think
happens.
about this, right? We've talked about in this industry almost a lot ad nauseum around cleaning lists and making sure you have a good list. And now Gmail and Yahoo are coming out in February of this year with a lot of changes that will change the thing. And, oftentimes you hear from marketers that say, I still have a great list. And then they go ahead and people like you, there's the creative people, there's the copywriting, there's the technical setup, there is paying for the emails, even though it tends to be cheaper. And then all of a sudden, if you don't have this decent list, and I'll use the word decent in the sense that it's clean and and not filled with garbage, that all of that work, all of those hours go wasted. And I'm sure it's not like you can just sit there, Monica, and whip up some copy, right, for an ad or for an email, right? And it's just lickety split and it's, takes you 30 minutes and, whatever. You probably do research, you probably do a lot of work. And oftentimes it's a huge letdown. It's like popping a balloon, right? Where
It doesn't
people,
matter if it doesn't get in the inbox. It
right,
doesn't matter.
right. It doesn't
And
matter. And all that work and and for any of you that are listening, at the executive level, all of that work goes to waste, whether you're charging by the hour or you're on a salary, or you're a creative person designing and coding. um, it all goes down the toilet, right? Simply
and
because of that list.
and it's not just you wasting money on hiring a copywriter to write those emails for you. It's
Yeah,
whatever else you have put into building that email list.
yeah, right,
That's waste.
right,
Like if you
right,
paid money for traffic to
right,
get those leads and then you do nothing with them, that's
right,
it.
right.
Money wasted, time wasted. So
Yeah,
I think back to your point about we keep talking about cleaning the list and why it's important. I think people get attached to this idea of like, oh my God, my list is 1 million people. And
right,
then when you tell them, yes, but that's not real. You don't have 1 million
right,
people who are
right,
receiving and
right,
opening your email list.
right,
That's
right.
your ego.
Yep,
It's hoarding resources. If you don't do anything with that, that does not exist. And
right,
people don't really understand how bad this is
right.
until they get to a point when their assumption
Hmm.
is challenged.
Right,
And most people get challenged when they have to do an email promotion. So when you have to sell something and
right.
you're seeing that your audience is like, who the hell are you?
Right. Exactly. I consider email list hygiene or verification, because there's two different classes of this. It's sort of like your car, right? And if you don't change the oil or tune up the engine or change your tires or perform regular maintenance on it and then want to take it on a trip across Europe, it ain't going to perform right. And then you're left because you've had all this planning and you've packed the car, and all of a sudden your car breaks down on the motorway and you're totally screwed. And a lot of people, like you said, right? There's this whole notion of, oh, my list is a million, but ultimately, how much does it cost? I'm going to use the reverse psychology here. How much does it cost to not deliver an email because it's a bad address? And then how are you going to look at it from being proactive, like cleaning your list, versus reactive, like, oh my gosh, we're on block lists. Oh my gosh, we're not making it to the inbox because of content or old addresses. And a lot of people go into reactivity mode and are freaking out, right? Like, oh my gosh, we're not doing any of this. And then you add on the time it costs to mitigate anything, right? Rather than being proactive and sort of changing your oil and cleaning the engine, prior to actually, going out there. And then adding on what we just talked about, all the additional costs it costs to get that email out the door, plus the mitigation and the reactiveness of it. And I can't for the life of me figure out. I've been beating this drum for 10, 15 years, right? And lo and behold, people still out there like, I got a clean list, don't worry about it. And then I run a hygiene and it's like 28% of your list are dead email addresses or on international spam or moles or stuff like that. And it's absolutely devastating when I see that and having to give that news, right? Like, your email list kind of sucks. Right? Like,
I mean, I think it's one of those things that sounds too technical
yeah,
for most people to actually understand.
yeah,
And maybe, I know, maybe they look at their open rate and they see, well, it's above 20%. They compare maybe with some benchmarks and it's like, well, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And then you have all the other elements, which is like segmentation and
Uh-huh.
isolating unengaged lists, unengaged segments, and all of that. They
Yeah.
don't know these things. These
Yeah.
things sound too technical for them. And I know
Yeah.
because I've coached course creators for like 2 years, and this was one of the issues. Like, um, before any big launch or before any like Black Friday promotion, I would
Mhm.
tell them start cleaning up your email list. You don't need 100 people who are not engaged. If you
Right.
only have 50, that's fine. Talk to them.
Right.
And they were like, but how do I do that?
Right.
How do I figure out if
Right.
I'm blacklisted? What's a
Yeah.
bounced email?
Right. What does
What
that
is
mean?
my
Right.
exactly? What's my unsubscription rate? Like, what is
Mhm.
that? How should I keep track of it? Is that bad? Is that good?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even though like deliverability and
Mhm.
email cleanup and re-engagement are like conventional terms nowadays,
Right.
they're still too technical for most people
Right.
who run their own brands, who run their own marketing, who are
Mhm.
in charge even at hiring and
Right.
organizing their marketing teams, right? Because even those people don't know.
Hmm. That's the basics. And I've talked about going back to the basics for many years, right? We're all, and this is a podcast session for another day, we're all obsessed with AI, right? A generative AI and how it's going to change the way that email marketing works. But before we get to that, we need to take a step back and go back sometimes to the basics where we talk about things like dead emails on a list, or bad emails, or fraudulent emails, or fictitious domains, or things of that nature. All right. So I want to wrap it up here, but I want to set the stage. Monica, you have, let's just say, 1,000 marketers um, of all different complexities of programs, people who have many years of experience, or people that just entered into our business. And you said you kind of been in this business for 12 years, right? And you're kind of obsessed with email. So first of all, congratulations on that. But like, what have you learned? What can you impart on these people? What would you want to say to them? And then give us your closing thoughts, and then I'll wrap it up.
Don't assume your list is good. Like clean it up, check it out. I would say twice a year would be a good
Okay.
rule of thumb.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's one of those things like you're afraid to look into your bank account because
Yeah.
maybe it's gonna be worse than you think. But
Right.
in this case, you
Right.
actually need to do the checkup. If you can't handle it,
Mhm.
outsource it.
Right.
But if you don't do this constantly, you're gonna end up with an inflated email list that's more of a cost rather than an asset.
Right.
And it's like, why are you doing it anyways? I mean, seriously, why?
Totally. Well, that's good. That's good points. Um, Let me wrap it up by saying this. I've had a lot of discussions with people over the years, and even in this podcast, with deliverability people who have been dedicated themselves to deliverability, whether they work at a vendor, whether they work in an agency, whether they work internally at an organization. And they talk about this. And then you have the vendors that talk about hygiene and verification and the ability to clean lists. You're the first person outside of deliverability, and specifically the first person who's a copywriter who's had this conversation with me. Everybody, if you can take away one thing, when it reaches the copywriter level, or somebody that writes content, and they realize the importance of having a good list and maximizing engagement, you got to think twice about it. And that's where I credit you, Monica, for reaching out and saying, this is what I want to talk about. And I was like, whoa. So everybody, when it gets to that level, this is part of the holistic, right? The umbrella of email that is basics, blocking, and tackling. Look, I want to thank Monica for you coming aboard and working with me on this session. All of the social deets will be put on this podcast. Reach out to Monica. She's a brilliant person. if you need help or ask for advice or things of that nature. If you're copywriters, reach out to Monica. I'm sure she'd love to engage with you guys. I think they're really great. Monica, again, thank you so much for joining Email Never Sleeps. I really, really appreciate you coming on and talking about this. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to share the message on behalf of copywriters everywhere.
Everywhere. Cool. Thanks, everybody. Until next time.